Then we're going in another direction. The rest is just between you and
Okay.
I. Okay? If you think I don't need to say this to you, you would be incorrect. If you think I don't, I've learned. If you think I don't need to prepare you to have a basic grounded understanding of what we're about to do, then that would be incorrect. Because the session actually began when we started talking on Zoom. Only now we're going to the recorded part of it because we don't need to go through that again. I am going to turn your microphone off. Unless you,
Yeah.
first I want to see if you have any more. No, don't turn it off. I'll do it from my end. And then I'll ask you to turn it back on when we're done. Okay?
Okay.
So I make decisions about whether I'll do one-on-ones like I've done with you. It's a one-on-one type of choice.
Mhm.
Generally, I try to encourage people to go on the group journeys, but people are very slow to have the courage to do it, particularly in the West, in the United States. You'd think it would be the other way around, but people in Asia are much more ready to go on journeys and be dedicated to going on more of them than the people in the States who are, I would say, per square inch more mindlessly entertained than anyone on earth.
Just about distractions in the US, I would put it that way.
Well, China's the same way. They've got the
True.
internet and they've got videos and they've got all the stuff the West has, and their people are just as mindlessly entertained. Probably not quite as much as people in the West, but still. Um, Started coming back to do these journeys um, in the West, in the United States. And I get 10 or 12 people going on, blow their minds, and just completely grateful, absolutely wake. And then they'll drift off back in mindless entertainment for a while before they come back. It's a strange phenomenon. I'm used to it. So when I turn off your mic, you have any other questions before we start?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to mute you now, but we get a better recording quality. You can always turn it on to ask a question, okay?
Okay.
All right, so now you're muted. And you should close your eyes because when you close your eyes, although you may not know this, you're actually shutting off any input from the world, from the atmosphere, all the negative stuff that's programmed there, the tortures and abuses of people with people going back 65 minutes, it's all recorded in the atmosphere. It's still there. So that surrounds people and they're influenced by it. Unfortunately, it's the subconscious programs that are kept turned on by those negative influences that surround us. When people compulsively fixate on fear of the present and the future, which most people do daily, they're grounded to this planet. They cannot remember what they once knew. To do that, you have to be consciously aware of being the Atma, which isn't the body or brain or the personality of one lifetime. It is you. It's the real you. When the eyes close, another vision opens up. And because of the telepathic utilization of my voice with other masterful beings out there, you become or remain conscious as you focus on the voice. My body is also in the trance state we call sleep right now. And I've learned how to speak and use it in order to guide the sessions. But I'm with you out in space and on these journeys. When this voice I'm using puts this information on a recording so you can review it later and gain benefit from it. Is the volume level good for you that I'm speaking? Okay. Shantial and Tonatial are standing behind you. Now, what they're doing is projecting what's called an energetic form, a human like form, from the core of their being, the Atma, which is hovering above the form they're showing you. It looks to be like they are 36 years of age, flawlessly beautiful, flawlessly handsome. They aren't from Earth. These are not physical bodies, they are a pure form of the hue that you could, if they wanted to, they could appear and you could touch them. But they aren't DNA bodies. So they appear to be flawlessly perfect. You also are projecting right now the same type of 36-year-old, perfect, beautiful female to them that you've always known how to do since the beginning. Because these two keep your primary and secondary implants turned off effortlessly, so you can go on the journey without them affecting you or misdirecting you. These are the two that will be removing secondary implants, not me. I trust these beings with my life, and they trust me. This kind of thing took a lifetime of training. I couldn't speak to anyone about what I was knowing about my connections with life from other worlds while I was growing up, and didn't even start to bring this work out to the public till after I was 60. I couldn't tell parents, I couldn't tell anyone. When the world was ready for this work to be made public, that is when it became public. Before that, I couldn't even speak to people. I was terrified to speak in front of groups of people. And then one day I just stepped out and started going to conferences around the world. I started doing things like this. And then these journeys, these guided journeys, evolved out of the publication of the books. That's the reason why there's a special technique section at the back of the series agenda. It's because it deals with helping people connect to the source energy, prime creator itself. Hue comes from the first half of the word human, hidden in plain sight. Hue. When I do that, what's taking place is this. A certain connection through the pineal gland in the center of the brain is turned on. It connects to the white core of the Atma hovering above the body. And the Atma becomes aware of itself hovering above the body and begins to re-educate the human consciousness, the one lifetime, the personality. A human brain can't learn much in 10 lifetimes that means much in galactic history or in traveling the multiverse. The Atma already knows how to do this. You are an Atma. It is that which we are working to recover, to awaken. This goes beyond the removal of secondary and primary implants, because much of what you once knew how to do as a co-creator with the source behind all life, which is our reason for existing, you left behind or forgot or suppressed yourself out of mistakes you made. Maybe you blew up a planet 4 billion years ago, things like that. And then people make mistakes in judgment, and they suppress these higher faculties because they don't want to harm anything. And after a while, they end up vulnerable to be caught by tyrants, killed or eaten, and stuffed in a body as political prisoners and thrown on an out-of-the-way planet like Earth with little or no memory. So it takes a certain amount of awakening of courage for an individual to request to go on these journeys. You have that courage. You've done this despite being implanted, which means you do have mastery over negative things. And you're beginning to exert it, which is why you found this path, what I'm doing. You created finding me. I just made it possible to be there for you to find it. So with that understanding, Shantiel and Tonaltiel are very uplifting, happy beings. When they help remove these secondary implants, they usually chuckle and laugh because it releases a lot of good energy. So, daydreaming, everybody knows how to do on Earth. All you do is imagine what I'm saying. You don't tell yourself that you don't know how to do this like many people do. It's just an implant influencing their consciousness in a negative way. You know how to visualize going to the store, correct? Yes. You know how to go to the beach. You know how to first see something in your imagination, and then the body follows what you imagine. This is the same way we do out-of-body travel and direct projection, which is instantaneous movement of from one point to another. No limits of time and space or the speed of light or sound. So daydreaming means you're just looking now at what it looks like for you to see your body sitting there, but you're hovering up near the ceiling. And in front of this sphere of energy, this beautiful you, is this perfect, beautiful female about 36, trim, beautiful, elegantly dressed. And to each side of you is hovering these two spheres, male and female. And they're showing you an image of what they look like in actual bodies they have on spacecraft that patrol our solar system right now. Shantiel and Tontiel are from the beyond the Pleiades, and they are Galactic Alliance personnel, but they're also considered master teachers. They look to be about 35 to 38 years old in appearance. He's actually 68 to 75 years old in Earth terms. She's 256 to 260 Earth years old in terms of Earth people. They live several thousand years or more. They are not like people on Earth. They don't have subconscious minds. People on Earth have had certain genomes on their DNA. There's over 1 billion switches called genomes turned on. One of them has to do with the telomere on the twin-stranded DNA on each end. When the cells divide, the telomere shrinks. This is aging. People from other worlds do not have this problem. When their cells divide, they do not age. This is simple science. People on Earth have mapped out all billion genomes on the DNA with supercomputers, and they know their switches, but they don't know how to access them yet. They don't have the understanding. He has long blonde hair and robin's egg blue eyes, slightly larger than an Earth human, and she has long brunette hair and emerald green eyes, also slightly larger than an Earth human. They're about 6 feet tall, very trim, very well dressed. They're wearing Galactic Alliance uniforms. Single blue-gray form-fitting sheer type of garment they step into. Even the shoes are part of it, the footwear. And it fits up over their body. It has a Galactic Alliance symbol on the right shoulder, which is a silvery galaxy with a four-sided, golden-sided pyramid pointing upward, hovering above the apex of the galaxy, and 3 blue stars and cobalt blue stars in triangular formation above the point of the pyramid. Pyramids are very important structures in the entire universe, particularly in the lower dimensions of time and space, because how they concentrate gravitational and other energies in about a third of the way up or 2/3 of the way up inside the center of the pyramid structure. The form of a pyramid fits perfectly within a sphere. It can be broken down to many pyramids fitting within that sphere. You're all looking down on your bodies. You have yours sitting in a chair. And these two are smiling at you and they point upward. You find yourself at 10,000 feet in the atmosphere, or meters. And you're still hovering beside each other. Everything around you is perfectly clear. You can see right through the roof of the home where you are and see yourself, all of us there. You can see them hovering beside you. You can see yourself looking at your body, and you're in both places at the same moment, because the Atma has this capability to view and see more than one place at one time. Then you find yourself in space instantly, standing in a circle of beings around Ambassador Torellian. You're in outer space. You know that black area out there outside of Earth? Space shuttle goes up there. China has rockets going up there, and there are astronauts floating around out there. To them, they see it as black, with all these little other lights and stars floating in this blackness. But this is not what it is. The most advanced scientists know it isn't black at all. It isn't dark matter. It's a powerful, singular, living energy. It is non-nuclear. It is non-atomic. It is what people pray to, they call divine spirit. It does not call itself that. Divine implies there's some king tyrant on a throne somewhere that's the God over all life that dictates everything. This is not what the source is like at all. So we're out in space and you see a white golden light everywhere. It's just brilliant. It's a separate energy from the things that float in it. You can see this white golden light everywhere, and yet a galaxy like ours, and the Andromeda, nearest neighbor, turns on its axis and floats in this other energy. The more advanced spacefaring races understand how to work with that non-nuclear, non-atomic energy. It has no molecules, no atoms, no DNA. We are made of the same energy as individual beings, like drops from a mighty ocean, source energy, identical to the source itself, on a smaller scale. When you're floating, you're standing in an orbit of beings. You can see the polar ice caps of Earth and the oceans and land, the barren moon orbiting the planet, pockmarked with meteor craters, no atmosphere to speak of, does not turn on its axis as it orbits the planet, which is physically impossible. Gravity from the Earth and from the sun and other planets should have it turning in some way, but it does not move. Something happened to the moon that made it so that it doesn't do what it's supposed to do for people on Earth. Most of the bodies of people on Earth are made of water, like the oceans. The moon affects tides, not so much in a positive way. If it was turning on its axis and had an atmosphere, it would affect the Earth's water in a different way, but it does not function properly. So that needs to be corrected, and it will. Turlian's showing you his body form, 18 feet tall, much taller than any of us. And above him is hovering this beautiful, larger Atma than us. Same kind of thing, but just brighter, more aware. And that body he's showing you is human. They're the most ancient race probably in existence, at least in many galaxies. And they had 12-stranded DNA, not 2 like people on Earth. We have Say-raised DNA in us. So do all the other races that are spacefaring in our galaxy and in other galaxies, because the Say race billions of years ago began to develop higher genetic forms up to spacefaring capability that the Atma could run higher faculties through. And back then we all did. Reptilians and Greys and Mantis and Tall Whites and all these other things and were in harmony. There were no bad people. That happened after the Say race vanished. They brought races up to being spacefaring, and then they disappeared. See what we would do with it. Consider them much higher co-creators with the source. And then they returned fairly recently. I first met Ambassador Turelian when I was writing the Say race Agenda book about my own direct experience of how I got caught and trapped and killed and manipulated and stuffed in a body on this planet like everyone else. This is what happened to me. Do I feel put out or alone, singled out? No, because everyone on Earth had this happen one way or another. That's why they don't remember anything. It's not the brain of a lifetime on Earth that remembers anything. It's the Atma. Out here in space, the body form he's showing you was immortalized over 1 billion Earth years ago. The entire Say race changed. They evolved to dematerialize the physical body and store it in one of the teardrops of the Atma. When he wants to show us a body form like he's doing now, he'll draw from the omnipresent living power, the you, around us. Manifest that DNA form to show it to us. You could walk up and touch it if he appeared on Earth. But it's not a physical body. He does not have the burden of pushing around a physical body, feeding it, and going to the bathroom. He's showing us the reason he's demonstrating this, because these journeys rub off on us. We have the same potential. There are other master teachers here. Master Ramu in an orbit around Turelian near the Earth, in that direction. Master Opelum in an orbit around Trillium further out in space. I'm between the two. You're standing just to my left. You have Shantiel and Tonatiel taller than you, standing to each side of you, smiling. They are keeping your primary implants turned off and your secondary implant. Primary and secondary implants. There are three. When we go through removing these three, we only need it done once. You don't repeat it. Everything changes from there. Secondary implants are artificially created, torture, death, we're going to kill you, we'll eat you if you ever try to remember kind of stuff. But they aren't real. They aren't even your experiences. The primary implant is your experience. How you came to be on Earth. What happened was not fun. And then we have to go through a process to review what's in the primary implant. First, the secondary implants that hold it in place need to go. This will raise your IQ and your intelligence quite a bit on Earth because you'll be more aware of things you were made to forget. Eta and Din, who are Drens from planet Oceania, where Opelum comes from on the other side of the galaxy, is located in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. It is accessible with spacefaring craft. They have the ability to move between 144 parallel dimensions of the physical universe, but they do not have the ability to go up into the next major division people on Earth call the astral plane. You have to go as the Atma there, visit your astral body, and there have different spaceships there. It's like that. They're kept in different levels so that we can master or become a co-creator with Source. Emotional mastery is taking place in the astral plane. All emotion comes from there. Matter is moved through emotion. It is not like the physical universe. Causal plane, cause and effect above that. Mental plane, instant thought. Etheric, that's more of a connection between the lower worlds across the void into the higher realities. The people in the etheric plane live millions of years. They have transparent bodies. There's still some negative in it. And most of them are not motivated to go home and fulfill their journey to be a co-creator with the Source. So the universe is stuck. God is stuck within itself. Hasn't evolved in several 100 billion years. This is changing for the first time. The old failed experiment of good and evil, and it is a failed experiment, must be put aside. What we call the Hue expansion ray, which is a new energy of consciousness moving through the omnipresent power, comes from above the void. Things are changing there so that things here can change, or it could not take place. Earth used to flip its poles every 100,000 years because of an event that happens in our solar system. That would destroy all life in the world, and after that we'd have to have colonization from the worlds, and it has to be reseeded. That was permanently brought to an end a few years back. So there'll be no more polar flips, no golden age to iron age for the Earth anymore. That's done. People just don't know it yet. It gives us the opportunity, with the help from beings from other worlds, to actually step up to being trusted co-creators with the Galactic Alliance and with other beings. We can become a space-faring race. But not with rocket ships. That's never going to work. It may be fun to play with them, but they're very limited. So out in space, you see Eta and Din, about 3 feet long from the tip of their cute noses to the glowing tail, standing on their hind legs, bulbous blue eyes, pale green skin, tail glowing like crystal opal in bright sunlight. They're silica-based, not carbon-based DNA creatures. The Atma, like us, hovering above them. They are master teachers. I have known Eta and Din for over 100,000 years. I adore them. They manifest the highest qualities of human beings that humans don't even know exist, and yet they're not even human. They come from planet Oceania, where Opelum comes from, which is a mostly water-covered world, 4 times bigger than Earth. Higher up above them is Satnam. Satnam means true name, first sound, first personification you'll see of any physical human appearing form. He doesn't have a physical body. Like Turellian, he's showing you a form that looks human. Above it is a massive, brilliantly lit spherical atma running this body. And above that, a vortex, an opening, a whirling white golden light. Looks like an hourglass with a narrow funnel middle. It's going up through the lower worlds of time and space, through the void to the realm of the Atma, Satnam's realm. First major realm above the void. There's no negative nature there. So there's a white golden light coming down through this opening, right down through Satnam, who's just observing things, down through Turellian, standing there with his two thumbs up with closed fists, and is creating a brighter oval of light around his fist. And it's creating an oval of the white golden light surrounding all of us in a circle of beings that's brighter, a form of the hue, than the hue that supports space. It's just a little brighter. It's a protective field. When you look out in space, and Shantial and Tonaltial are turning you to face away from Turellian, out in space between the Earth and the Moon, you can see a single disc-shaped ship with three semi-spheric or half-sphere-shaped pods under the bottom hull, with a thin blue antigravitic light around it. And you can see, because this physical form you have out here that's human, about 36, it is not DNA. And the eyes in this body doesn't feel cold or heat. It doesn't feel radiation from the sun. It's really the Atma that is seeing this and using this form so that you have tactile sensation, eyes and smell and taste and touch if you need it here. But it's not a physical body. And you can see right through the hull of this craft. There are three couples standing up, human or humanoid, behind the curved crystalline control console. It has faceted luminous crystal controls on its surface. And in the back in a lounge is one of the four couples, shoulder to shoulder, sitting upright with their heads against each other, apparently asleep. And you look to your left and right out in space looking at this, and you realize that Shantial and Tonaltial are the beings standing beside you that have their bodies asleep on that ship. This is something they know how to easily do. So in other words, to remove secondary implants, they have to be out of their bodies. They have great advanced technology. But for you, because you have a body on Earth, they need to be out of their bodies to work with the Atma you are, to remove it from the electromagnetic field that surrounds the outside of the Atma. Implants and negative things do not and never enter the Atma. You can't implant an Atma. No being that's ever been in existence has ever been subconsciously suppressed. The suppression takes place in the electromagnetic field that surrounds the outside of the outer layer of that spherical being. And it looks like a field of energy, just like the electromagnetic field that surrounds the planet Earth. You can Google it and see what this looks like. So you have this big field of energy that comes out the south pole of your Atma and goes in the north pole. And the implants are out in that field. When you look up, you can see the Atma you are hovering a little at a distance above the body. And there's this field surrounding it. It's a white golden light. And there's these three oval-shaped white light, oval-shaped, foot-wide secondary implants connected by a beam of white light in a triangular pattern around the outside of the Atma. And they're moving you up into 2/3 of the way out of this electromagnetic field, up to this first oval light. The beams connecting them are turned off. They look like a pale white light now. And then they're placing their palms upward underneath this foot-wide oval light, pulling it out of your energy field and up to your face. What I have to decide is whether or not to take the time to show you 3 past lifetimes that were all constructive and positive out in the Galactic Alliance you had before this life on Earth, because you had much higher IQ and much greater intelligence, much longer longevity, had bodies that didn't shrink, telomeres when the cells divide, totally different lives. And this, when this is done, it actually opens a door to have a higher intelligence brought back to the body you grew up with on Earth. It starts to move this higher intelligence through it. The same implants exist in the electromagnetic field around your physical body in the sleep state back on Earth. They go at the same time. They're connected. What we're going to do is go look into this first lifetime. I will do one. I've done 3 for people before, but 1 is enough to get the process started. Once these 3 are gone and you've seen this one lifetime in this one, that's not reversible. That's permanent. And you will have access to that lifetime, at least part of it. And then you can go on your own journey later and explore it end to end, from the beginning of that life to the end of that life, and it leads you to other experiences. So now, Shantiel and Tonatiel are moving this white sphere right up into your face. Remember, your body's pure energy. It's connected to the Atma. So the Atma is beginning to see what is stored in one of the teardrops out there that it's had suppressed for who knows how long. And as your face moves into this sphere of light, you're beginning to see yourself hovering in space, not near Earth. You are nearer to the galactic core of the Milky Way galaxy, looking down on the entire galaxy from up in this golden white light. It's not black. And you're hovering as an Atma in this omnipresent living power. What people call the void of space is not a void at all. And you're looking down on this point, and you can see a planet glowing. Not in the galactic core, just maybe 7/8 of the way in. And you suddenly zoom down to it. You've got Shantiel and Tonatiel beside you. I'm there. Satnam is there. Ambassador Turellian's there. Etta and Din are there. Master Ramu and Master Opalam are there. Master Lightsea. And others. Agam Parusha. We'll get into who he is when we go on the long distance journey. There are several silent mentors present. They began to take part in these journeys or appear on these journeys, but nowhere else in the lower universe. If we want to work with silent mentors, the mechanics of creation that keep all these galaxies and doorways between dimensions in place, we have to go to the U Expansion Ray Academy. That is located between the 5th plane of Satnam above the void and the 6th realm in a specially created parallel dimension. There we can meet and work with such beings. They have never in the past had any direct association with Atmas like us. It's not their way to be master teachers, to care about or take care of Atmas. That's not their way. Master teachers do that. So there are 2 of them standing to each side of Satnam, high up in space, observing. They look like, one looks like a male, one a female. One has a blue dress on, gown above their bare feet, one a green one. And they long hair. It's kind of a blue hair to her shoulders and kind of a golden hair to his. And then you look at the facial features. They don't have any details, just a white light. And when you look into it, you see level upon level of galaxies. These are part of the beings that are part of this journey now. So you are moving into this, down towards this planet. And then you suddenly find yourself hovering above the planet. You see many other stars close to this system. They're more compacted near the galactic core. And they're beautiful, blue giants, big yellow suns bigger than our sun by far, little red dwarfs and big red giants. And you can see that you are looking down on a huge planet. It's 4 times bigger than Earth. It has no polar ice caps. And there are 4 worlds circling this big planet, the size of Earth, at different distances with no polar ice caps. There are domed cities, luminous from within, on all of these worlds. And out in the distance, you can see a trinary sun system. Scientists on Earth know today that most suns in our galaxy are binary, meaning 2, or trinary, meaning 3. This means a big sun in the center, a smaller one revolving around that, and another one revolving around that, and the planets revolving around the 3 suns. The nearest sun to Earth is a binary sun system, not single like ours. This has a different effect upon human life, on the worlds that surround them. A much more evolved life. And you're looking at this so you have an understanding of where you are. The planet itself has a beautiful blue atmosphere. Down on the surface is a single continent near the equator, about the size of the United States maybe, and several more, one on the backside, between the equator and the South Pole, and one up above to the right. And you can see there are domed cities in jungle areas from space that make up the metropolises, which are not overpopulated or crowded. This is a Galactic Alliance planet. And this planet that you're looking at is called Zytor. And Zytor is one of 450 million plus world systems that are overseen by the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds. And you find yourself moving through the atmosphere. Chantiel and Tontiel are still beside you. A group of us are moving through the atmosphere to escort you. And you can look down on a golden, luminous beach. You're approaching that continent on the western coast, along a big half-moon-shaped, big curved beach, and then suddenly you're down standing on the beach. The sand is golden and it's glowing a foot above the sand. The ocean has a pale green, blue-tinged glow to it, foot above the ocean. It's calm. And you're looking behind at these jungle trees that they aren't like from Earth. They've got flowers, big flowers extending out of the tops of this palm fronds. They look like giant redwood trees, but they're glowing. And you're looking at a brown moss-covered path that leads through the backside of this curved beach on this planet. And in the distance, you can see the top third of a domed city and 3 golden-sided quartz-capped pyramids. And the left third of that, you can see it. You look out in space, you can see, in daytime, these 4 planets that circle this bigger one. You're looking down the beach and you see a type of a creature approaching. Actually, 4 or 5 of them. You're standing on the beach, you have long blue-black hair. You have oval eyes that are golden pupils, not yellow. Your ears are kind of curved, round on the top and round on the bottom, and stick out from the head a little bit, as if you're listening to something in the distance. It's beautiful, young. You're about 16 years of age here. And you are by yourself. And then suddenly you look up and see Masterful standing beside you. This is a lifetime that happened over 478,000 years ago. And you were in training to be part of the Galactic Alliance. The time you're 16, you had the equivalent of 10 PhDs of a person on Earth. Now this beautiful face, narrower cheekbones, perfectly trim, long, slender fingers. And Opelum is simply introducing you to a group of beings that you've had a long association with, but they're coming here to celebrate a birthday with you. And as they approach, they look like four-legged animals, but here's the interesting thing. They're about the size of a llama, long necks, beautiful face. And they have this long hair down the sides of their long pointed ears, big blue oval eyes, a little long snout, and then suddenly you realize, and they have bushy tails, and when you look at their hooves, they aren't hooves at all. They're like human feet with big toe and little toes, and they're walking along on these feet. And this is a type of a creature called a Zemphranaut. And it's a very intelligent, it's not human. And you look at these creatures, one male, one female adults, and two young ones, about half their height, approaching. And they're smiling at you and talking. They have vocal cords. Above them is hovering a beautiful Atma, looks just like you. And you run towards each other and embrace them and kiss their necks, and they're kind of making a purring sound like a cat. And then you have a conversation. You sit down on the sand, and Master Opelum is just watching. It's teaching you something about respecting all life that is not just human. And then you start playing. As you're sitting on the sand, these beings will project a sphere. It's a projection, like a hologram. It's a blue, green, golden surrounded ball of light. And it's making sounds. It's hovering above you all. And then they toss it through the air and you catch it. And then you, with your palms open, send it up. You don't actually throw it. Send it back up into the air. It comes down into one of the children. Hovers above the head of one of these offspring. And they play when you're passing this ball back and forth. And Opelum is starting to laugh because the sounds coming from this, from each person, blend to a beautiful sound of harmony, making up a song, an orchestration. Then you find yourself outside in space, coming out of this oval sphere of light, this lifetime. And you look at Shantiel and Tonatiel are smiling at you, and they have it in their open palms, one male and one female. And then they wiggle their fingers under it, and it disintegrates into the white golden light around us. Now they're moving you to the backside, around out in space, to the backside of the Atma you are. This is your physical appearing form. And they're bringing you up into the second of these three secondary implants. And as they put their palms up into it, one male, one female, standing beside each other, they're lifting it out and bringing it up into your face. And then they ask you to look at this and send the hue into it. Remember, this hue is coming from up above the void, through Satnam, down through Terrellium, out his thumbs and his closed fists, passing through us, passing through Shantiel and Tonatiel, and through you. So when you send the hue into this thing, Shantiel and Tonatiel do the same thing, and it disintegrates into a blue powdery mist and floats away. It's gone. Now they're moving you over to the right side of the electromagnetic field of energy made of the hue that surrounds the Atma you are, outside of it. And they're moving you up to this last one. This time they place their palms up underneath your two palms up, and they're standing to each side of you, close, and they're having you lift this last one out yourself. And they ask you to sing the hue or send out the hue sound, which comes from source. You're directing the hue to disintegrate this thing that is terror and fear and torture in it, behind the beautiful lifetime that's hidden in them. Because these lifetimes had no negative nature for thousands of years. No war. And if an implant can keep you from accessing it, it keeps you from accessing your higher intelligence. And the hue comes through you and disintegrates this into a golden mist, and it is gone. The 3 secondary implants in the field of energy around you are now removed. You are protected from the energy coming from above the void so that you can never be implanted again. Now they're taking you out and showing you Turelian, standing you in the circle of beings. There are other master teachers and Galactic Alliance personnel here, several dozen in a circle around Turelian. They are fellow associates of Shantiel and Tonatiel, including Dantiam and Lamtiam and many others, who are beginning to work with people on Earth when they're out of their bodies at night, when they have their bodies asleep, to prepare them to be able to recognize this work and have the courage to approach it. This is how it works before we ever meet. People are too subconsciously terrorized to just have it thrown in their face openly on Earth. They would react violently with fear. Governments would react violently, so it has to be done carefully. The primary implant, they're having you look just above you at the Atma you are. This is that physical looking Atma body that is not made of DNA, so you can objectively see it. The primary implant is a pyramid shape, 4-sided, golden with a quartz cap, something that if you saw as beautiful, you wouldn't want to get rid of it. But it's sitting on top of the north pole of the Atma above it, and one pointing downward below it. That is a primary implant, 1. It contains likely torture and death and how you were killed and stuffed in a body with no memory, along with everybody else you find on Earth. None of that can ever be done again. Those influences have been removed from our solar system. It's a quarantined solar system. It's a field of energy around the entire solar system that doesn't allow reverse engineered anti-gravitic craft from the US or anywhere else to travel very far. Few planets, maybe to the moon, stuff like that. But until we grow up and can be trusted, we're not going to be allowed to play among the stars. There is no future Space Force or Star Trek-ish type ships running around the galaxy with radioactive warp cores. That is illusion. It's fun to watch and I like the movies, but it's not real. That isn't how it works outside of Earth. People on Earth are going to go through some incredible changes in order to be able to appreciate life on Earth, each other, and life out in the multidimensional creation. When you look at Turelian and look up above them, you see Et and Den. They fly and hover over by you. And then one by one, they come up and they rub their little noses on your nose. These are energy bodies, remember. Well, that's how they are. They're affectionate in this way. And they fly back above Turelian. You look up, you see Satnam raise his right hand in greeting. And then he vanishes. The vortex leading up above him, up to the void, and to his realm, a white sandy beach luminous in the distance, vanishes. And then you find yourself hovering above your body with Shantiel and Tonatiel looking down on your body, which is in the sleep state. And you realize there's this white golden energy that Satnam sent down through Turelian. It's moving through the roof of your house, passing through you, out into the electromagnetic field, what you'd call the aura. But it's much bigger and round around you. And those 3 secondary implants are no longer there. So when you're walking down the street or going to a restaurant or going to work, you lightly put your attention on this experience and realize that you can see and know things now you couldn't touch before. Quite natural. The energy moves through you, through the pineal gland in the human body, out into the field of energy, and it goes out into the planet. It goes into 3 pyramids stationed on Earth. 2 on the bottom of Earth's deepest oceans, 1 inside a hollowed out interior of a mountain in the Himalayas, and then it goes out into space. It goes into a huge pyramid that is stationed between 2 stable asteroids. in the asteroid field that circles in the orbit of a planet that was a planet between Mars and Jupiter. And it goes out to big pyramids that have manifested between stars, and then it goes to the galactic core, the axis of the galaxy, up a white golden shaft of light and back to source. It never stops moving. It moves through us for our benefit and onward for the benefit of others. It is a sound. In the physical universe, it sounds like gentle rumbling thunder without lightning. It is uplifting. It's a humming. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Now I'll ask you to turn on your mic. And a little microphone button there, it says mute. And your Zoom, it should be down the lower left. Should be a little mute button, stop video or mute. Do you see it?
Yeah.
There
Can
we
you
go.
hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
now you know Zoom. The reason I like Zoom is because the visual is so much better than Skype or anything else that I've tried.
Mm.
It's very clear. It's a very good software. So that will conclude a secondary implant removal journey. And you were fortunate because they wanted me to reveal at least one of these phenomenal lives. You lived thousands of years there, 7,000 or 8,000 years, before you voluntarily left to go into some other form on some planet. So that doorway is open for you. Don't really have the time to take you reviewing through. You see the problem when I get into this? People want to know all these lives and they want it given to them on a golden platter. But it's good you have one because then you can do a little bit of effort and work towards discovering what's in those other two. Some people, a few, not many, were shown all three. And I realized after a short time we can't do this towards many numbers of people. It's just not going to work. Now, you and I'm going to bring this recording to a close. Because it's private, would you like to ask some questions and have the answers part of this recording?
No, I think I'm pretty okay right now.
Okay.